Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. So today we're going to learn on chapter 4, which is biological molecules, in which in our lesson plan today we plan to learn about the functional groups that involve in the biological molecules, and also we're going to learn on the basic processes of synthesizing and also the breakdowns of biological molecules, which involve condensations and hydrolysis process. So, what is carbon actually? All of the living organisms consist mostly of carbon-based compound, in which carbon is unparalleled in its ability to form large, complex, and diverse molecules. So, biological molecules such as proteins, DNA, carbohydrates, and other molecules like lipids, distinguished living matter, are all composed of carbon compounds. So, meaning to say, all biological molecules consist of carbon compounds. So, these carbon compounds have 4 valence electrons. Therefore, they can form 4 covalent bonds with variety of atoms. So, this ability makes the carbon to form a large and also complex molecules as possible. So, this is examples of the molecules that contain carbon compounds such as methane, ethane, and also ethane. So today, basically, we're gonna learn on organic chemistry, which is the study of the compounds that contain carbon. So organic compounds range from simple molecules to a very complex one. And most of the organic compounds contain hydrogen atoms in addition to the carbon atoms. So what is functional groups? So there is actually a few of chemical groups are the key to the functionings of biological molecules, meaning to say that these groups are the one that responsible to give function, to give specific function to the molecules. So different properties of organic molecules depends on its carbon skeleton, how much the carbon in the skeletons of it, and also what are the molecular components that attach to it also. And a number of characteristic groups can replace the hydrogen that attach to the skeletons of organic molecules, which is referred to the compound. So functional groups are the components of organic molecules that are mostly or commonly involved in the chemical reactions. So the number and the arrangement of functional groups give each molecule its unique properties. So we're going to learn about 7 types of functional group. And before that one, look at these 2 figures over here. So this one is estradiol molecules and another one is testosterone molecules. Both of these 2 molecules have almost a similar structure, right? However, estradiol have different function compared to testosterone. This is due to the presence of the functional group that attach to the carbon backbone of these 2 types of compounds. Therefore, the functional groups and the structure are the one that give the function towards the molecules. So these are the 7 functional groups that most important in life. First, we have hydroxyl group. The second one is carbonyl. The third one is carboxyl group. The fourth is amino group, sulfhydryl group, phosphate group, and last but not least is methyl group. So first, let's look on the hydroxyl group. Hydroxyl group contain the structure of OH, in which, as you can see the example here, ethanol examples, we have 2 carbon as a backbone, and usually the valence electrons of the carbon will form a bond with the hydrogen. However, this hydrogen has been replaced with the hydroxyl group, which is the OH. And when this compound contains hydroxyl group, it's known as alcohol. So what is the functional properties of this hydroxyl group? So it is a polar, as a result that the electrons spending more time near the electronegative oxygen atoms, and also it can form hydrogen bond with water molecules because it is a polar molecules. Thus, it will help to dissolve the organic compounds such as sugar. And then the second functional group is the carbonate group. So the structure of carbonate group, they contain oxygen that form double bond with the carbon backbone. As you can see here, the example, we have acetone in which the carbonyl group attached to the middle of the carbon backbone. Meanwhile, another carbonyl group over here, as you can see, it attached on the terminal carbon. Okay, the terminal carbon in the carbon skeletons. So usually the compound that contain the carbonyl group is known as ketone if the carbonyl group is within the carbon skeleton. The compound will be called as aldehydes if the carbonyl group is attached at the end of the carbon skeleton, as you can see for an example of propanols. So what is the functions of the carbonyl group in the ketone? So usually, ketone and aldehyde may be structural isomer. They have different structure, they have different internal arrangement structure with different properties. And also ketone and aldehyde groups also found in sugar, in which giving rise to two major group of sugar. We will gonna learn about this one later, which is ketose sugar and also aldose sugar. Next is carboxyl group. Carboxyl group is involving the oxygen that attach to the end of the carbon group, and also hydroxide that also attach to at the carbon skeletons. So we can say it as a COOH. Yeah? So the name of the compound that contain the carboxyl group is known as a carboxylic acid or organic acid. So usually it functions as an acid in which later it can donate the hydrogen ion from the OH over here, because the covalent bond between the oxygen and also the hydrogen is so polar. Okay, and then it also can be found in cell in the ionized form with the charge of -1 and called as a carboxylate ion. Next functional group is amino group. Amino group consists of NH2. So this NH2 or amino group attached to the carbon skeleton. So the compound will be known as the amine groups. So usually it acts as a base. Okay, compared to carboxyl group acts as a acid. Meanwhile, amine group will act as a base, in which it can pick up the hydrogen. Okay, it will pick up the hydrogen ion from NH2 to become NH3 from the surrounding solutions such as water, and it found in the cells in the ionized form with the charge of +1. Next functional group is sulfhydryl group that consists of SH, sulfur, and also hydrogen that attach to the carbon backbone. So usually compound with the sulfhydryl group is known as a thiols group. So what is the functional properties of this group? Okay, two sulfhydryl groups can react with each other, forming a covalent bond. and this is known as a cross-linking that will help to stabilize the protein structure. We will learn this one later on the topic of proteins. And this cross-linking of system in hair protein maintain the curliness or the straightness of your hair. So the straight hair can be permanently curled by shaping it around the color and then breaking and reforming the cross-linking bonds. Next functional group is a phosphate group. Okay, once the phosphate group is attached to the carbon skeleton or the carbon backbone, it is known as organic phosphates. This compound is known as organic phosphate. So it will contribute the negative charge to the molecules, and also molecules that contain the phosphate group have potential to react with water, thus it will release the energy. Okay, such as ATP. And then next group is a methyl group. It comprises of CH3, and the molecules or the compound that contain this methyl group is known as a methylated compound. So the functions is the additions of the methyl group to the DNA or to the molecules that bound to DNA will affect the expressions of genes. This one you will learn on semester 2 later. And the arrangements of methyl group in male and female sex hormone affects the shape and also the functions. Okay, therefore the seven functional group that we have learned just now is that the hydroxyl group, carbonyl group, carboxyl group, amino group, sulfhydryl group, phosphate group, and last but not least is methyl group. So next, remember all living things are made up of carbon skeletons, and it forms four classes of large biological molecules, in which the first one is carbohydrates, lipids, protein, and also nucleic acids. So macromolecules, meaning to say a big molecules, are large molecules that composed of thousands of covalently connected atoms, and the molecular structure and function are inseparable, meaning to say the structure will give specific functions of the molecules. Okay, different structure will give different functions. So what is polymer? Polymer is a long molecules, it looks like a chain that consists of similar building blocks. So this small building block is known as the monomer. For example, you have a bead necklace. So the bead is known as the building block or the monomer. So the bead necklace is known as the polymer, the long chain of the beads. Yeah. So the three of the four classes of live organic molecules that have polymer carbohydrates, proteins, and also nucleic acid. However, for lipids does not have a monomer or small building block. So what are the two processes that involving in the synthesizing and also the breaking downs of the biological molecules? So the two reactions that very important. The first one is for dehydration. Dehydration reaction is a reaction that used to synthesizing a polymer, meaning to say we want to synthesize the polymer from the monomer. So the dehydration or additions of water, the loss of water, occur when two monomers bond together through the loss of water molecules. Meanwhile, if you want to break down your polymer to become a monomer, it will undergo the hydrolysis process. So what is hydrolysis process? Hydrolysis process is the reactions of the additions of water, meaning to say the polymer, you add up water to the polymer and the polymer will break down to become a monomer. So this is the example over here. Dehydration, this is another short polymer and this is a monomer. So we want to link this together or synthesizing to become polymer. So the water molecules will be removed through the dehydration process and thus it will forming a new bond over here and it will form another longer polymer. Meanwhile, for hydrolysis process is the breaking down the monopolymer, and when this one is a longer polymer, you add up water through the process of hydrolysis and the bond will break down over here and it will form two monomers. So this one is monomer and another short polymer. So basically remember the 7 groups of functional groups are hydroxyl group, carbonyl group, carboxyl, amino group, sulfhydryl group, phosphate and methyl group. And the two process that very important in synthesizing and also breaking down the organic molecules are known as dehydrations and also hydrolysis process. I think that's all for today class. Thank you.